how can you make your properties more interesting? As a seller, there are strategic ways to subdivide your property and help the buyer get in. That's what we're discussing today. Hi, I'm Tim Diesel. I'm a commercial real estate consultant. This channel is designed to give you tips and strategies in your business to grow your portfolio. If you're a broker, this will definitely help your clients grow their business. All right, so let's get right into it. If you're a seller, a lot of times I've noticed they'll have let's say it's a 10-unit building, and on the 10-unit apartment building, they'll have a separate piece of land, or the land will be so big there's really no need for the other piece of land. So you're probably thinking, what can I do with this thing? What am I gonna do with all this land? A couple ways to be strategic here. You can obviously subdivide it, sell off the land separately. Now, another thing you can do is subdivide it, deed the land to the buyer, giving it some kind of value to put it down as a down payment. That's very creative. We've done that a couple of times. If you own the land outright, you can do whatever you want with it. Now, if there is a loan on the land, subdividing becomes an issue. So this strategy is only if you own the land. So if you have property on an acre, and on the acre you have 10 units, and you own it clean and clear, no mortgages, you can subdivide the land, deed the land to the buyer, have the buyer use that as their asset to get into the purchase. Now, obviously, I'm not an attorney, I'm just telling you how we did it. And there are ways to get out there, and if you work with someone who's creative enough, they'll definitely do this for you. So that is a huge, huge advantage you could be using in your business to sell your properties. Give you another example. This would work the same way if you had a house, right? If you had a house and the land on the house is too big, you can also carve that out. There's so many ways you can subdivide your lots or your land. And there's a lot of strategies to be used for that. If the bank wants to see the buyer come in with something to the table, if you make that possibility for the buyer easier, then your deals will get done a lot quicker and much, much easier. So you have to stand out as a seller. That's what we're discussing today. How can you stand out a little bit? The second one that I'll give you is if you own an 8 or a 10-unit property, depending on how the property is structured, you can do a lot with it. So let's say you have an 8-unit building and it's 2 fourplexes. It's hard to get financing for a commercial property sometimes, right? Property's got a cash flow. Right now, values are way overinflated. If you chopped it up and you made it 2 4 units, well, that's residential financing. So it's easier for the buyer to come on, and you'd make more money because you're separating it, you're not selling it as a whole. So definitely a strategy that we've used, and I really don't see talked about too often, is chop up your properties, subdivide them, and if you own them, now these are if you own them clean and clear. If you have debt on them, there's other ways to move it around. Again, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an attorney, I don't know how to tell you how to do that, but there are ways that you can definitely divide your property up, sell it off as 2 individual units, and you can definitely get very creative when you're selling your properties, when you're subdividing it that way. Now, the last one I'm going to give you is a strategy. We've really only used this a few times, like a handful of times. If you own the property all by itself, it could be retail, it could be office, whatever it is, right? If you own the property and you have a buyer, and let's suppose the buyer is having a tough time getting in and you want to do owner financing and you're really not sure how you want to structure the deal. Well, you can separate the land and you own the land and you sell them the building on owner financing terms. So it's a land lease until they've caught up or refinanced or whatever the case is, however you want to work it out. Now the bank likes, I think, anything over 50 years they'll be okay with. And if they know the lease on it is long, when it comes time to refinance your deal, you can keep the land or you can sell it as part of the package. Now the reason you do that is if there's ever a foreclosure or anything like that, or maybe there's terms you don't like, you have control of the property, right? You have control of the land. And this will definitely protect you more if you're doing owner financing, you're really not sure. That's a strategy that we have implemented, and it made the seller a little more comfortable. So they kept the land, we'll make payments, and if for whatever reason we stop, you just, obviously raise the rent up, you own the land, do whatever you want to do with it. So there are ways to get creative as a seller and move your property along. Especially right now, it's tough to sell your property at full price. If you want to do owner financing, that's definitely a way to do it. If you want to chop up some of the properties, you want to hold some of them back, wait until they start making payments, or maybe a year in. Another thing we've done, if it's a 20-unit building, depending on how it's chopped up, so if you have 444, maybe after a year or 2 or 3, you'll release a little bit of the portfolio. Again, this is if you own the property outright. If you don't, you have to do things a little differently. So if you have a lot of debt on the property, you don't have as much flexibility. But if you are a seller and you have free and clear property, there's definitely a lot of things you can do to get creative with it. All right, guys, if you have any cool tips, definitely let me know. That's what I'm asking you. What other cool creative strategies do you have to sell your property? Like this video, subscribe to this channel, only if you find the information useful and you can get a lot out of it. Share it. Definitely appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much.